Bob Newhart has passed away at age 94. You won't hear me speak about Bob in today's episode. I had recorded it. I was actually editing it just as the news came in. The episode below this one on the feed is an obit episode published around 5 p.m. on Thursday afternoon. And later this morning, I plan on doing a follow-up to talk more about Bob Newhart. So in the meantime, here's the normal Friday episode.
Calaroga Shark Media.
Really busy again, especially for a summer Friday. Hi, I'm Johnny Mack with your daily common news. I had to pump that Hank Azaria story till tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow for sure. I'm planning on recording back-to-back here, maybe sneaking a Beach Friday. Nikki Glaser's Publicist, you have earned your money. Nikki got one of those wax job articles in Variety. Nikki also got a wax job article in Deadline. Wow, let's start with Variety. They wrote, "It may have only been 9 minutes in a 2-decade comedy career, but it was one that had all eyes on Nikki Glaser in a very good pivotal way. Her set roasting Tom Brady, etc., etc. Yes, it was a very good moment." Nikki said, "I knew it was going well, but ride this wave. You can't relax. I can't celebrate anything until it's officially over." That's what her head was telling her as she was doing the roast. You have this really short amount of time where you have to be excellent, and there's no room for error because it's live. And just the amount of eyes on you, the amount of detail that was involved in each joke, it felt like a balance beam routine. Honestly, as soon as I stuck the landing and finished it and walked back to my seat, then I just felt like it was a dream. Yeah, she nailed that set for sure. Variety's Wax Job says her name was immediately buzzed about and people became aware of her who weren't aware of her before. As luck would have it, within days, she hit the bullseye for a second time. Her HBO comedy special, Someday You'll Die, was released and was another huge hit. I'll push back on that. I don't have the numbers, but I feel culturally nobody talked about that special at all. And off the heat of her roast, that should have been a huge special. And it was on HBO. It wasn't on like Johnny Mac's basement streaming service. Should have been major, but I don't feel like anybody saw it. I could be wrong. Nikki says, even though all I crave and want is attention and all those things, when I get it, I kind of cower and need to undermine myself and create all the reasons why I don't deserve this. I must have done something sneaky to get this. How can I prove myself that I don't deserve this? Comedians don't operate from a place of, I'm amazing, look at me. It's more like, am I amazing? Will you look at me? And when you do I really deserve it? It just never happened to me where something has been that critically and societally accepted and celebrated like this. And I don't ever want to base my happiness around if people are recognizing me at a Starbucks or not. Now, here's where the Publicist is really going for their money. They just slipped to Variety that, Nikki would really like to host Saturday Night Live. Boy, I hope somehow Lorne Michaels sees this. Do you think he reads Variety? You think anyone will put this in his news clippings package he probably gets every morning from NBC? That's a thing that happens in the business. You get a news clipping package. I don't know if Lorne Michaels gets one every day, but I guarantee you the news clipping package exists. Nikki says, I have loved the show forever and admire the cast they have now. I'm not waiting for the call, but when it comes, it'll be an absolute yes. It's like you're dying for the call, but you're also like, please don't call me because I know that my life will be so hard. But that's what this career is. It's just a series of hard things. Variety writes, Lorne Michaels, are you listening? So, Publicist, you earned your money. Not just that one. Here's the one from Deadline. They wrote about Nikki's new series in development at Amazon called Unsettling. She'll play the lead in it opposite fellow comic Jamie Lee, Nikki Glaser said. I just love the people involved with it. They make some of the funniest, most heartwarming TV there is, and I'm so excited to move forward with it. It's slowly coming along, so it seems like something that will be happening, but you never know. What is it? It's a half-hour single-camera comedy about two childless best friends in their 30s who decide to go in on a baby together, navigating their lives as brand-new platonic co-parents. Bill Lawrence is behind this one. You know him from such things as Scrubs and Ted Lasso. Good pedigree there. Nikki received an Emmy nomination for her special. We'll talk about that in a second. Says, it's the kind of thing that's a big moment for an artist just because I'll always get to be Emmy-nominated Nikki Glaser now. It's like you have that title for the rest of your life, so they can't take that away from me. I'm just excited to go to the Emmys. I love going to award shows. It's one of my favorite things to do as a person in this business. Publicist laying some more groundwork. They got this one there in Deadline. I think hosting an award show is something I'll be doing a lot of in my future, just because it's something that falls into the same kind of category as the roast, where you have this prepared monologue, and there's a lot of pressure on. Nikki, dare you host the Golden Globes and make a, say, Taylor Swift joke? That doesn't go well. One time, Joe Coy made a Taylor Swift joke. Let's listen.
The big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes, we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift.
Oh, Scott Beckett, friend of the show, who hates that bit. He emailed me on a Thursday morning. So, Scott, you're on my mind. That one was for you, Scott Beckett. Thank you for listening. Nikki says, I really thrive in those kind of settings when you're in front of an audience of people in show business and you have to do a really tight, totally perfect and funny monologue. I'd love to do it. I think my name is being tossed around in those kinds of conversations, but we'll see. Yes, please host the Golden Globes. Actually, I want Joe Coy to come back just so I can do the bit for another year. I run at the chance to do things that generally would scare other people. I think that stand-up and roasting are both categories of entertainment, and other people in the business are like, I wouldn't touch that. And thankfully, I don't have that aversion to it. Publicist getting it more done. They got this in there. I'd like to make a movie and be in a rom-com at some point. I'd like to act alongside Julia Louis-Dreyfus. At one point, I'd like to host SNL, mentioned again. I'd like to host an award show. I'd like to sit in the VIP box at a Taylor Swift concert. I mean, there's little goals here and there, but I'm really just happy with how things are, and that's been the greatest realization is I honestly want more free time with my family and my friends and my dog. I love how she's throwing out this list. I'll throw out a list. I want to host the Tonight Show on a Friday night. I want to do the Daily Show on a Tuesday. I want Letterman to guest on my podcast. And none of those three things are happening, but I'll throw them out there. I'll also host Saturday Night Live if Lauren asks. Lauren, are you listening? All right, your Emmy nominees for Outstanding Variety Special pre-recorded are Billy Joel's Live at Madison Square Garden, Dave Chappelle for The Dreamer, Dick Van Dyke's 98 Years of Magic, Nikki Glaser, Someday You'll Die, Trevor Noah, Where Was I? Out of those five, I would say, well, from a comedy standpoint, Trevor was the best of those five. I didn't see the Dick Van Dyke. I did see some of the Billy Joel. You know, Billy could get a Lifetime Achievement Award. Dick Van Dyke for sure could get a Lifetime Achievement Award. I'm not sure Nikki's going to win this one. And award shows do love giving awards to Dave Chappelle. All right, let's talk about the intersection of politics and comedy. Alonzo Bowden was asked, when can you make a joke about, say, someone trying to assassinate someone? Alonzo said, it's never too soon, unless it's not funny. Comedians will always make it funny no matter what happens. That's what we do. It's how we communicate. In this case, Donald Trump is such a character, and the fact that he wasn't killed, the joke started immediately, and I don't think he minds. He's one of those people that as long as you're talking about him, it's a win. Matt Friend wrote an op-ed for the Daily Beast, and he said, I dealt with my shock and sadness by posting a graphic of my social of the instantly iconic image of Trump with blood on his face pumping his fist. Under the photo, I wrote, how long before this becomes merch? Gotta admit, I had the same thought. As expected, I received a mix of positive engagement and furious backlash. I had conflicting thoughts. On the one hand, the joke was making fun of Trump's habit of turning everything he does into merchandise. On the other hand, I was trying to be funny after a former president was nearly killed. I ended up taking down the post, and that caused my head to circle with questions. Does this mean I didn't stand up for comedy? Where's the line? Did I cross it? In order to get closer to answering these questions, I've been turning to comedy's past for advice. Johnny Carson once said, I think one of the dangers if you are a comedian, if you start to take yourself too seriously and start to comment on social issues, your sense of humor suffers somewhere. In 1981, Carson hosted the Oscars one day after Ronald Reagan was shot. At that time, Johnny said, he happens to be in very good spirits. After all, you must remember this is a man who yesterday, while he was in the hospital unable to speak, wrote on a sheet of paper, all things considered, I'd rather be in Philadelphia. So tonight, the show does go on. Matt Friend said, while a delicate joke, Carson managed to gracefully touch on the attempted assassination of Reagan. Trey Crowder apparently knew J.D. Vance back in the day and did a 3-minute joke-filled rant about him. Trey Crowder said, you know, if you were to tell me when I was a kid that one day a white trash hillbilly would have a shot at the White House, I would have been like, what? With a potato gun? No, as the vice president. Damn, that's wild. Tell me more about this hero. What was he? A man of the people? Civil rights attorney? No. Ivy League educated venture capitalist who first rose to fame by selling us all out. Oh, well, that's disappointing. From The Guardian, a 28-year-old German comedian got in trouble with Trump supporters and then Elon Musk after a series of tweets. Sebastian Hotz, who posts and performs as El Hotzo, lost his job as a broadcaster this week for the tweets. He apparently tweeted something along the lines of that the attempt on Saturday had been like the last bus, unfortunately just missed. Those are the words of Hotz, not me. He also published a post saying it was absolutely fantastic when fascists die. Hotz has 700,000 followers on Twitter. He deleted the original post, but screenshots of them were published on social media. He then wrote, absolutely no one forces anyone to sympathize with fascists. You can do without it without the slightest consequences. The controversy prompted the Berlin-based public broadcaster RBB to cancel Hotz's involvement with one of its radio shows, which he had co-hosted since 2022. The program director said his remarks are not compatible with the values for which RBB stands. I always like hearing from you guys. My email is in the show notes. The Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast Group's another great way to hit me up there. You You can hit me up in Facebook Messenger. Always love hearing from people. Heard from Tom yesterday around lunchtime. Always good to hear from you, Tom. And Tom is a supporter at buymeacoffee.com/dailycommon-news. Much appreciated. Always great to hear from you. Out today, a new song from Weird Al. We don't know what it is yet. Well, we might by the time you're listening to this. As Johnny Mack records this, Johnny Mack doesn't know if it's a parody or an original. Will there be a physical release? His last new song was called Now You Know, played over the closing credits to Weird, the Al Yankovic Story back in 2022. In 2023, Weird Al told comicbook.com, I don't think I'll do another conventional album. The soundtrack came out last year, but that's a various artists album. I'm not giving up music. I'll probably put out at least one new track next year. Guess he didn't lie. But I don't really like the business model of waiting until I have 12 songs and then putting them all out at once. I like coming up with an idea, and if it's good enough, I want to get it out immediately, and now I can, because I'm not beholden to any contract of business model. Roy Wood Jr. will put his next stand-up special on Hulu. He'll tape it in September at the Lincoln Theater in Washington. Hulu is bringing the comedy this fall. So far, they've announced Jim Gaffigan and Bill Burr. They've also licensed a bunch of specials from 800-Pound Gorilla. See, we're hearing a lot about those guys now in Comedy Dynamics. Netflix will have Matt Reif's next special, this one going to be all crowd work. Rolling Stone reports for a full hour at the Comedy Zone in Charlotte, North Carolina, Matt Reif relied solely on his audience to keep the show afloat. Reif's off-the-cuff performance was captured for his upcoming Netflix special Lucid, out on Netflix August 13th. Matt Reif says that this show is going to be completely different from anything you've ever seen live or on Netflix before. This is just me and you guys. There is a trailer. Let's listen to the beginning of it before he gets a little too naughty.
This show is going to be completely different from anything you've seen live or on Netflix before. This is an entire crowd work special. This is just me and you guys. I don't know what you're going to say. I don't know what I'm going to say. I want you guys to be aware you are equally as at fault for how this goes as...
And that is your comedy news for today. Tomorrow, normal episode. Ran out of interviews. That's fine. There's plenty of news. I bumped a lot of stuff from today's show. So tomorrow's a normal episode. Monday's a normal episode. If you enjoy the program, tell a friend about it. They might like it too. See you tomorrow.
And I'll have a Newhart thing mid-morning. See you back in a bit.